All right, here we go. This one's going to be a 5.56 test. And both these were sent to us by viewers. So thank you guys both so much for sending this stuff out. And they are both also the 77 grain OTM open tip match bullet. So for the first one, that one is the AAC. Mr. Chaseman 96 sent that one. There's what it looks like. It does have that small opening there at the top of that bullet. It does have your standard brass case and is rated 2,700 feet per second. And for the second one, that one is the IMI Systems. Mr. John G from Texas sent that one. Pretty much identical though, of course. It does look like the annealing is a little bit more pronounced on that bullet. Also has your standard brass case. Is rated at 2,740 feet per second. So like I said, we'll see how close we come today. So we'll be testing it out of a Zastava ZPAP 85. That one does have that 10-inch barrel. We'll be going through our gel. Those are 10% calibrated blocks. Do over a catch block behind that. So total 22 inches of gel. 4 layers of cotton tissue on the front, and like always, we'll set up our chronograph so you can hopefully pick up those impact velocities. So let's set up and see how these rounds do head to head. First one up will be that AAC. All right, we're setting back to 15 feet. All right, let's see how we did on that one. All right, looks like our impact velocity on that one was 2,203. So, quite a bit less than advertised at that 2,700, but of course that is a, very short barrel. So definitely, not too bad. And I know we are shooting super close, but man, that, we hit it right there on the dot, right there on that mark on that cotton t-shirt. So always good to see. And there's that entry. Looks like got a really good hit on that block. You can kind of see down in there. You can't really tell, so yet, but halfway through, man, we got a huge star pattern. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, definitely some good stuff. So it looks like it was very delayed in opening, maybe about 2 inches, and then whenever it did, check that out. Huge amount of damage, absolutely fragged in there. It did settle down a little bit towards the end, and we did actually make it into that second block. Not a lot of it, quite a bit of frag, which I'm actually surprised that that bullet even fragged, at that lower velocity, and how heavy that bullet is. I really wasn't expecting it. That Zastava does have a 1 in 7 twist, so pretty much, optimum for that 77 grain, but definitely very surprising. Looks like we do have a blowout, of course. And at our widest spot here from the side, let's see. We are at about 4 1/4, so definitely quite a bit of damage for that, little 22 caliber bullet. And check that out, man. You can really see on from the side what's going on. You can see where it came in. It was a little bit delayed, and then, man, it just opened up right there halfway through, dumping a ton of energy. You can see quite a bit of frag going all the way, through the rest of that track. And then we did make it into that second block, so that's definitely good to see. So let's see at our widest spot from the side. Looks like we're about 3 1/4 inches, so a little bit less from the side than the top. But man, very, very impressive stuff. Like I said, I definitely wasn't expecting that. You can see all that frag, and then there is a little small chunks of bullet, a little bit of that lead. So we'll measure, at the deepest part where those lead chunks are penetrating. And we're about 5 1/8 inches. So I made it 16 1/8 inches of total penetration for that. So definitely not too bad. So let's set it for that IMI Systems and see how that one does. All right, we're setting back to 15 feet. All right, let's see how we did on that one. All right, you can see we do have a slight leaker, so definitely got quite a bit of penetration on that one. So let's see. Looks like our impact velocity was 2,184 feet per second, so definitely a little bit less than that, last one. Not by much, but, just a little bit less. All right, and there's a hit on that block. Looks like we got another good shot. You can kind of see down in there, and pretty much same thing, real small, and then, it definitely opened up pretty nicely. Let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, definitely quite a bit of damage. You can see that, about this one actually seems like it wasn't as delayed. This one is the razor core. I'll let you know why I mentioned that here in a second. But so I believe that those ones actually have a little bit harder alloy in that bullet compared to that first one. But you can see it was a little bit delayed, and then it did start to open up, and pretty much same thing, man. Right, the first few inches in, it exploded in there. You can see those pedals kind of going all over the place. We did make it into that second block. It's a small track right here on the side. You can't hardly see it. And then, it's going all the way through. We actually did hit the jug behind it, and there's a chunk of that bullet sitting right there. So we'll show that here in a second, but definitely quite a bit of damage. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the top. It's definitely going to be a little bit hard to measure just because they did kind of overlap, but we'll do our best. It looks like this one's right around that 4-inch mark, so about a 1/4 inch less than that first one, but man, still some impressive stuff for sure. This one was kind of hard to do. I had to flip the block, and I had a feeling they were going to collide, so there's nothing really we could do about that. It's a lot of damage for these smaller blocks. Definitely gonna have to do some magnum blocks here soon. But anyways, so here it is from the side. You can see maybe that 1.5 to 2-inch mark where it started to create that damage, and then man, it just exploded in there. Ton of frag once again. Then we did make it into that second one, out of the second one, and we just hit the very bottom of our first jug. So not too much penetration into the jug, but a lot of penetration in the gel. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the side. Definitely looks like quite a bit less, actually. Looks like it went from left to right more than top to bottom. So we're literally only about 2 1/4 from the side, so a lot less from the side. Like I said, it is going from left to right, but from right there, that is a ton. And then it is this tiny little path going all the way through, and then like I said, you can see the bullet. But so we got 22 inches of gel penetration, and on this jug, it literally just went in and poked out, like it barely grazed it, so we didn't really hit the or get too much penetration. So basically 22 inches of penetration, so quite a bit. So let's flip this block so we can get a little bit better look. All right, so hopefully you guys are able to see this decently. So the one on the right was that first shot, and that one is going away from us, and then the one that's coming towards us was that second shot. So here is that first shot. You can see that thing came in. It took about 2 inches before it started to open up, but when it did, man, that stuff was super impressive. Pretty much exploded in there. It did settle down just a little bit towards that first block, and then there was a little bit of frag there in that second block. And that second shot, same thing, a little bit delayed. This one is going to the right now. Came in, started to open up. You can see it's just starting to drop a little bit of frag in there as well. And same thing, opened up really good here towards the end. And this one made it all the way through that second one, out of the second one, and right there on our table. So definitely some pretty good stuff. I really didn't know what to expect. I've never tested the stuff. I've always done 62 or 55 grain. So definitely a keeper for sure. So let's pull these rounds and see what they look like. All right, check these things out. Looks like they both got some pretty awesome expansion. So we pretty much just pulled the majority. We still have a bunch of frag in there. We'll pull all that stuff out here at the end, but while we're out here in the field. So the one on the right was that AAC, that first shot, and the one on the left was that IMI Systems. So here was that first one. You can see we literally just have a big chunk of lead, nice and squished. Did open up really nicely though. That is quite a bit bigger than that original 22 caliber. So we'll get all our retained weight and measurements and all that good stuff. But definitely some nasty stuff. This is probably the one that I would pick. Just the way it performed, man, is super great, and it's super cheap too, which is surprising. But definitely a nasty round. And here's that other one. This is the IMI Systems. Hopefully, there we go. This one basically looks like it just squished, all the lead or whatever, the zinc, whatever's in that bullet, and just squished out the front. It did tear off the, top end where it's a little bit, sharp and pointy. And then you can see that base, nice flat base, but pretty interesting stuff for sure. Never really caught them like this, so it's pretty cool to see. Definitely some nasty stuff. So we can't really do, you know, from the bottom like we know or, you know, normally do, but you can still kind of check them out. So the one on the right was that first shot, one on the left was that second shot. And last little look from a little bit different angle, first shot, second shot. So once again, both you guys, you know, Chaseman96 and Mr. John G from Texas, thank you guys so much for sending this stuff out. It was definitely a fun one. Didn't know what to expect, and it was definitely very impressive. So like always, we'll get all our retained weight, measurements, all that stuff here at the end. But once again, that one was the 77gr OTM open tip match out of that short barrel Zastava. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, guys, we're going to do this one a little bit different. This is both the cross sections for both those rounds. I kind of have to do them together. I basically just cut the block in half and then folded it over because there's so much damage going on. It's hard to kind of get in between these paths, because they did end up colliding, so it's kind of hard to tell the difference. So I'm just going to show them, you know, kind of both together so we get an idea what's going on. So these ones on the bottom are from the AAC, and then the ones on the top are from the IMI system. So here's these first ones. You can see those massive splits and cuts down in there. A little bit of fragmentation, creating a whole lot of damage. Same on this side, really big splitting. So I did remeasure these. They are peaking and averaging right around that 4-inch mark. I believe that's what we're getting out in the field too. I'm not you know, 100%, but I believe that's exactly what we're getting. But you know, a ton of damage. And these ones on the top, both these ones on the top are from that IMI Systems, but literally same thing. They pretty much look identical. You can see a big chunk of copper bullet right there. But, you know, once again, massive splitting, ton of damage. I did remeasure these. They're literally exactly the same, right around the 4-inch mark. I believe they were only moving, you know, within 15-20 feet per second difference. So pretty typical there, but, you know, quite a bit of damage. So let's try to cut both these open. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side and this top is the left. This one is the AAC. So I really didn't know what to expect with these. I've tested quite a bit of, you know, 5.56 and 223 in the past. But they're usually super light for caliber or light rounds where they come in and just explode on impact. So it was definitely good to see how these ones reacted in the gel, you know, them being a little bit heavier. And I believe, like I mentioned before, that this is a 1-in-7 twist barrel. So pretty much optimum for that, you know, a little bit heavier of a bullet. But you can see as soon as that thing came in, it was actually very delayed before, excuse me, before it started to tumble or open up. We measured it right around that 2.5-inch mark before we started getting a lot of damage. And then as soon as it did, man, it just tore stuff up in there. You can see it pretty much drug it the whole way through. This is the whole 11-inch block right here. But it did frag like crazy and literally just completely came apart. There was just one big chunk of lead left. Like we always do, we'll get our weight retention, all that good stuff. But you can see, looks like the base of the bullet right there. It's a perfectly round, you know, back end. But yeah, very impressive stuff. Like I said, I really wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't think it was going to do anything because, you know, it is a shorter barrel and it was moving quite a bit slower than it was supposed to. But man, that stuff was crazy impressive. So once again, came in right here. You can see where it started to open up, and you know, from 2.5 inches to pretty much that last 10-inch mark, it's just creating an insane amount of damage. Huge splits. Just really jumbled this stuff up. Quite a bit more fragmentation. Like I said, it did carry it through to that second block even. So very impressive stuff. So let's do one more quick angle if we can. This stuff is just barely hanging on. But you can see right there, it's just a mangled mess in there for sure. You know, over 2,200 feet per second is definitely no joke for 77gr and over 800 foot-pounds. Definitely very impressive for that short barrel. But there was that first one. That one was at AAC. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side and this top is the left. So I did do the same thing with that whole 11-inch, you know, block. So this one was pretty much the same, right around that 2.5-inch to 3-inch mark where, you know, it started to open up. You can see it was very flatlined. And then as soon as it, you know, got to that mark, it started to frag pretty darn good. We got some nice big splits down in there. You can't really tell too much from this angle compared to the, you know, the way that we had to cut it. Well, it wasn't the best cut, but you can definitely tell what's going on. And then, you know, it did carry that energy pretty much the whole way till about that last couple inches, and then did start to kind of flatline. But just an insane amount of damage for sure. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect with this stuff. I didn't think it was going to work at all. but the fact that it did, it was very impressive. I wouldn't mind having a few boxes of this stuff just to kind of keep around, maybe have a mag or two loaded up, but definitely some nasty stuff. Excuse me. But same thing here. Came in, you see where it started to tumble. I actually pulled out the front end of that bullet like I always do. I'll get a weight retention, but you can see that thing did not open up. It came in there and just started to frag. It tumbled and just literally came apart. So pretty interesting there. But you know, that is just, they just call it the open tip match. It's not actually a hollow point, but it does have that hollow point kind of cavity in there. This one was you know, they call it the razor core, so I believe it does have a different alloy in there. It's a little bit harder than that first round, so it didn't frag as hard, but you know, it definitely came apart pretty good. But you can see, once again, nice wide path, ton of damage going on in there. And then, you know, this one is the one that got that, you know, over 22 inches of penetration, quite a bit more than that first one, but pretty impressive stuff. Let's see, we might be able to do a little bit different angle. This one's, excuse me, this stuff's barely hanging on. This is the thinner side, so yeah, it's barely, literally just kind of ripped it in half. But you can see just a crazy amount of damage for both of them. There's still big chunks of copper and lead and stuff in there, but you know, once again, pretty interesting and pretty devastating stuff. So once again, thank you again both so much for sending this stuff, Mr. Chaseman 96 and Mr. John G from Texas. Really appreciate both of you for doing that. You know, always a big help, and always fun to test all this new stuff. So once again, those ones were both the 77 grain OTM open tip match. The first one was the AAC and this one was the IMI Systems. Thanks again for watching, guys.